I was going to ask you too. Did the FBI hire Santo Trafficante to take out Castro?
Yes, from what I understand, his family told some of his family member told me that he went to Havana and he went to kill Castro. They went to poison him actually, and it fell through. So they had him in custody. He was in that prison for a while. And what happened was his daughter got married in Havana. She was getting married in Havana. And his wife had to go to see Castro and bring him over $200,000 to let her husband come to the wedding. So she was telling me, he is a big mother, that Castro. I said, really? She goes, yeah. So now, one time I was telling Santo, I was in his room, and we were talking together, and he said to me, he said, you know what? I said, isn't this ironic? When I was about 12 years old, I ran into President Kennedy, and I had on this pictured hat, and I had a little black and white dress on. My grandmother was picking me up. And I was there, and President Kennedy came over to me and he kissed me. And he said to me, he says, you remind me of my daughter, Caroline. And I said, oh, okay. But I knew who he was, but I wasn't really, I didn't know for sure. I might have been a little younger actually at the time. And he looked at me and he told me that. And my grandmother took a shot of it. And I
Yeah.
said, isn't this ironic? I said, I was kissing the President Kennedy at one time, and now I'm kissing the man who they say gave the order to kill President. And I said, he goes, who do you think gave the order to kill the president? I said, I don't know. He goes, me, like that.
And
And
that
I was
that
like,
was
oh God, I didn't know what to say. I was very, thrown off guard.
and
But
that
I
was
said,
Santo.
yeah, Santo told me that. And
Damn.
then, I said to him, he used to teach me a lot of things. Like he would tell me, we would sit in the room sometimes. We would meet at a movie theater. We'd meet at Corky's, which was a diner. We'd meet at all different places. His family didn't even know I was that close to him. His wife kind of knew that we would see each other for business, but not like, it wasn't broadcast in those days, where somebody would say, oh, I'm hanging out with this one or I'm hanging out with that one. The main guys in the circle, they knew I was with him. Now, when one time after, I can't remember now what kind of time it was. I think it was in the summertime. And I went to see him and I said, listen, Pop, if you need anything, let me know. Well, the next time I called him up, I understand he was sick. He had angina. And I told him, I said, I really need to see you if you wouldn't mind me coming there. But I kept it very brief because we don't talk on the phone. Excuse me. So he said, okay, my wife is going to meet you at Jefferson, which was a department store. So I said, okay. So she pulls up in the car. I mean, they had an old car. His wife drove an Audi, beautiful Audi, and he drove an old Galaxy 500. Okay. So she pulls up in his car and she tells me, Joey, get in the back seat, but lay down, in case the FBI is watching us. So I said, okay. So I get in the back seat. I'm laying down. They go inside. They got the garage. The garage door opens. And then I go out into his house in North Miami. He's sitting on the couch in the waiting room, so to speak. And I said, hey, Pop, I said, how you feeling? He goes, I'm okay, I said, he goes, what can I do for you, Joey? I said, I need some money. He goes, how much do you need? So I told him how much I needed. He tells his wife, go give her the money. So she comes back, she gives me the money. I said, hey, Pop, thanks a lot. I was all choked up. I felt bad asking him. So he gives me the money, and then he hands me a little box, a red box from Cartier. And he goes, this is for you, Joey. I go, what is this? He goes, that's for helping me. I want you to have this 2-carat diamond earrings. So he gave me that. I said, hey, thanks a lot, Pop. I appreciate it. So then he goes into the kitchen. I remember he was having coffee. While I'm talking to you, I'm reliving this, So he's having coffee and he says to me, listen, Joey, I know you're alone now with Nikki. That's my daughter. And he says, I'll always be there for you and her. And when I get back from the operation, I'll take care of you and Nikki. So I said, oh, thanks a lot. You know, I'm going through a bad time right now. So he said, don't worry, I'll take care of you. Well, he never came back. He died, you know, so I was heartbroken, totally heartbroken. He was like a father to me. You know, I looked up to him. He was such a wonderful father, wonderful grandfather. I mean, nobody could carry water for him as far as I'm concerned. He was like the best of the best, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Damn. So,
But sad, very sad.
yeah, no, I was gonna say, you know, because I mean, that really probably left you, you know, while you were kind of expecting him to get better, you know, and then, you know, you were
Yeah.
struggling and stuff. I
Well,
mean,
the thing is, Adrian, what really bothered me the most was, you know, I never had a father. I never had anybody that would guide me in my life. You know, I never had anybody to love me for me. It was always for what I could do for them or what I could give them. And at one time, I had a lot of money, and that's all men were always interested in, just for that. Nobody's ever said to me, I love you. Okay. And that always bothered me. I was working one time in a condominium years ago. I went to school to be an undertaker, and then after I left there, I became, you know, a concierge at a desk. Excuse me. So I had a guy that worked for me. I had like 8 guys working for me, and one guy came up to me one day. He was a friend of mine as well as a coworker, and he hugged me, and I just completely like bursted out in tears. And he was like, "Joey, what's wrong?" And I said, "Nobody's ever hugged me like that. Nobody ever told me, you know, Joey, I love you." And he was the first one that did that. His name was Danny. I'll never forget. And I said, Danny, you're like a son to me. I love you so much. You're a good man. And he really touched me. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So that's the only time. I
And so,
never really had that kind of compassion from anybody. Yeah.
so that kind of really led you
Mhm.
into just kind of seeking that, you know, you're always kind of looking for that,
Yeah,
you know, and within, you know,
exactly. You're
yeah,
exactly. So the mafia, basically, you know, I didn't have a family life. You know, my brother and sisters and I, we all separated because of my dad. My sister went her way, my brother went his way. My young sister died, you know, from drugs. So it was hard on me because she was the baby. But I tried to always protect them when I was a young girl, you know, and I always have flashbacks of my days with them. And I see my sister, my one sister Janice. We never had even money. My dad. Okay, put it this way: you wake up in the morning, you're looking for a glass of milk or a coffee or a tea. All you see is a beer bottle and a whiskey bottle. Okay, you need new school clothes. All you
Hey, thanks for watching this clip. This clip came from one of my interviews I did in the past. Please hit subscribe if you want to get more clips like this. Also, if you want to watch the full interview, I'll put a link in the description. Or you can hit the button on the screen to watch the full interview.